Welcome to Live with Crabtree Coaching Collaborative, your compass for educational excellence. Now, as instructional leaders, we want to avoid that overwhelming sense of burnout and exhaustion because of all of those different competing priorities. We want to avoid our staff members becoming utterly frustrated because they cannot keep up with the demands. And let's face it, we want to avoid just having that lack of confidence because we don't feel like we're making any progress. That's why you're here, right? My name is Alyssa Crabtree, and with over 16 years of experience, I am here to help you gain clarity, amplify your learning like never before, and hone in on intentionality. This is where transformation begins, and excellence is always the standard. Remember, we are in this together, my friends, so let's do this thing.
Good morning, social media buddies. I hope you are having a fabulous day. And for those of you that are on Thanksgiving break, kudos to you. I hope you are snuggled up on the couch, maybe watching some Netflix, maybe going to the gym, but focusing on you. And let me tell you, I have a treat for you. I have Donna Jennings here with me today. Whoop, whoop, Donna. Donna is a life coach. And let me tell you, one of the things that I love about Donna is she's a former educator. She knows, she understands, and she's a clinical hypnotist. I'm so excited to introduce Donna Jennings, the owner of Donna Jennings Coaching. Donna, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Alyssa. It's so fun to be here, and thank you for having me. And thank you for letting me speak to such an important point and an important audience where your listeners, your watchers pour their hearts out in service to other people. You want to help make their lives easier from on the inside, right? And how that all flows and how that all works and coordinating and communicating. And I want to make their lives better from the inside out so that they can handle the strain and the challenges of day to day and still have some life left over for themselves, right?
Yes, absolutely. And one thing I love, Donna, is one thing that I want to bring to the community and for educators are life coaches, like more health and wellness coaches, because we're under so much strain. And one thing that I absolutely love about you, I was so stinking excited when we met, is that you are a former educator.
Right.
You understand. So let's go back. Tell us, how did you get here? What's your journey?
It was quite a journey. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of adventure, some tears, probably lots of tears, but also lots of joy. I grew up, I'll tell you very quickly, I'll go through this. I won't start with it started in 1967 in a hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. I grew up, and I think God has a sense of humor because the type of student I was and the irony that I became a teacher. And then on one hand, I think I'm the kind of student that should become a teacher, not a traditional learner. I struggled, with the sit in your seat and pay attention and don't fidget and all of that, went through that. And then became a teacher. I had a degree in physical education, health recreation, and I taught PE, health, and I taught drama because I did traveling drama in college. So much fun. And then my first year out of school, my first teaching job out of school was in high school. And by that time, I was already 27, which actually was a factor in me getting that job. So I was a little older, so that I could deal with students at that age. And that worked out really well. And some of those students are still great friends for me today. What I noticed was as I was teaching and I poured my heart out, all in, completely sold out to the mission, I began to notice simple but important things. I I couldn't pay my bills. I
Yeah.
was single, and
Yep.
fortunately, the first place that I worked, it was I had on campus housing, and so I could have a place to live for a lower cost. And it was in a private setting. Um, but I just began to notice some things that, like, I don't know if I'm going to get married,
Mhm.
which then you have a financial partner helping with the load. And I would also see other teachers really kind of frustrated, and they were counting the days. And I felt pretty sad about that. Um, but I love teaching and I love my students. I love having that impact. So then I was confronted with, where do I want to go? What trajectory do I want to be on? Because I love to grow, I love to learn. However, I had no interest in doing administration and education. And so
Yeah.
I didn't see a path forward. And then I pondered, what else do I want to do? And going back to being a struggling student, um, I struggled with math and science and avoided it, but I always also had an interest in medicine. And so at like 30, 31 or so years old, or 32, I began to face my fears and began a journey and transition into medicine. And along the way, I continued to teach full time, part time, substitute, stuff like that. And I still get to teach today, right? Education is a huge part of medicine. Um, and as time goes on, I'm practicing medicine. I'm also married now. I got married at 40. Yay, best decision ever. And I found myself creeping up on 50, and I was experiencing some of the same things I experienced in getting burned out from education. Um, I was not sleeping well. I was irritable. I was blaming my boss. I was blaming my dogs. I was blaming my husband. I was blaming the weather. And I was overweight. I was uncomfortable. And then I met a life coach. And the number one thing that I remember gleaning and taking a hold of was, I'm 100% responsible for the results I get in my life. And
Mm.
that single point created a beginning of a transformation. And that transformation was so profound for me that I knew that that was the next thing for me to do. Like, yeah, I want to coach. And that was 5 years ago. In fact, 5 years ago, right now. And making that difference. So you're still coaching, you're still teaching, you're still encouraging people and helping them live well from the inside out. And I see it as helping them take their lives back.
Yeah.
I thought if I changed my circumstance, then things would be better. And what I discovered was I changed and my circumstances got better. I could manage those circumstances better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that, Donna, like you just saying, I am 100% responsible for the results I get in my life. And honestly, while I am on campuses and I'm talking to instructional leaders and I'm speaking with teachers and district leaders, a lot of the personal conversations are very toxic and negative. And
Mm-hmm.
it does go into drowning in the chaos. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes we get lost in all of the stress and all of the chaos, and it comes out in a negative form.
Yeah.
However, that's not doing us any good. And so, how
Mm-hmm.
can we like, what are some signals that give us, hey, Alyssa, you're drowning in the chaos? Like, what are some signals that we can
Mm.
look for as
Yeah.
educators to help us know that we need to recheck ourselves?
Mm. Um, yeah. Okay. Fabulous question, because I think that we could offer some insight right now that can change someone's life. And the only cost to them is awareness.
Hmm.
So, to some degree, I think there may be a frog in the soup kind of thing going on, where we may have grown up in stress, and so we just think this is the way life is, and so it's no different from our stressful household, maybe growing up, stressful demands of college. And then it's really, we're just piling on. What do I do? What do I do? What else? Oh, I have a minute. What else? Because also remember, I think for the most part, people who are in the teaching profession are have servant hearts and they
Yeah.
want to help people. That can also set us up for not having our own boundaries for meeting our needs.
Yep.
And I know that can start taking, like, especially with my faith-based friends, we start like, that starts sounding really humanistic and selfish. And I just invite you to hang in there for the conversation. And I'm always open for more conversation, totally open for more conversation. I love it. We don't always have to agree.
Yeah.
And so, number one, what's the identity and the state of our life that we have automatically accepted, that's been assigned to us almost, and we never questioned it. Like, oh, well, this is just the way it is. Really? I'm not sleeping well. I don't eat well. I'm tired all the time. And I'm going to get real with you, because I also actually coach in 2 groups on women's sexual health and intimacy and wellness.
Yeah. Get real with us. Tell us.
You're not having sex, or if you are, it's chore sex as opposed to delightful. And that's not for everybody, but that's for a lot of bodies.
Yeah.
And so the pleasure of life is pushed away for the sake of what we feel like we've got to do.
Yeah.
And so what are the assumptions that you are making about who you're supposed to be? What do you think your identity is? If I then am a teacher, if I am then a servant-minded individual, is the assumption now my needs don't matter?
Mm-hmm. It really is, Donna.
Right. So that's where awareness is at. For me, in that moment right there, I invite people to sit with that revelation and breathe that in. And then you get to question that. And Byron Katie is another coach and well-known author and thought leader. She offers us, my coach taught me this, and credited Byron Katie. And I don't know that it goes beyond Byron Katie. So I'm going to credit Byron Katie. 2 questions to ask yourself. Number one, is it possible that it's true? And what is the evidence? Is it possible that it's not true? What is the evidence? So I have a generous heart. I want to help people. I'm in a serving profession. I am a teacher. The assumption, my needs don't matter. Is it true? And what is the evidence?
Yeah.
Is it false? What is the evidence?
I love that. And, often I feel like there has been this martyr title placed on educators. You have to be a martyr to be successful. And that has been so damaging to many of our, like you said, identities and what are my needs. And, you always put people's needs before yourself, especially women. Women are like, it's ingrained, or at least in the Southern women, it is like you serve everybody except for yourself. And we're having to break some of those stigmas and some of those ideas. Yeah. And it has been damaging, because you kind of hit on it a second ago, like there is this, oh, well, if you do that, you're selfish. And then you're like, well, I don't want to be selfish. I mean, like all of these harmful stereotypes or harmful ideas. Yeah. And it's so important for us to ask, is it possible that it's true? And is it possible that it's not true? How much time do we spend worrying about things that aren't true?
And there's no evidence for it. There's no evidence for it. I feel this way, but what is the evidence? Yeah. And and when it comes to our needs mattering, would you teach your daughter that her needs don't matter? Would you teach your own child their needs don't matter? Now, we may kind of channel that through our own behavior unwittingly, so we get to do something about that. because we can help not only the students in the schools where everybody is, what your reach is, administration, students, and your coworkers, but the ripple effect is the next generation who notices, what if I'm here for the long game as opposed to the burnout sprinting?
Yeah.
And I'm burnt out here. Well, then I change my circumstance, and now I'll go into here, and I'm going to burn out here, and then I'm going to change that circumstance. I'm going to go over here. I'll be happy here. We teach people how to treat us, and if we treat ourselves as a disposable commodity, then while they love us and are like, man, you're awesome, thank you, when we burn out and aren't there, somebody else will just step in and do it.
We are replaceable. Like our roles are replaceable.
Yes.
The individual is not. And so Donna, my question then kind of goes, let's take, I'm picturing someone right now who is very near and dear to my heart, who makes work their life.
Yeah.
And it's all about that persona. It's all about how people see them. It is all about moving up. And so my question is, what is one step to those individuals who are just surrounded in the chaos? What is one step that they can start taking now to get out of it?
Okay.
I know that's like a loaded question.
No, it is. And I'm thinking again of the person you I don't know this person in your mind. Yeah. I know one in my mind. Where they're achieving and achieving and achieving, improving. And so, first of all, I want to say one thing, and that is, you are already enough.
Yes.
You are more than worthy. You are already enough.
Yep.
There's nothing to prove. There's nothing to prove.
Yeah.
When you're surrounded by the chaos. So I think behavior equals breadcrumbs in my sense, like thinking about Hansel and Gretel, and the rest of that is a terrible analogy. But the idea that like, how do you find your way back? Your behavior is breadcrumbs or, clues. And so if you are, what I know is how, for me, I understand how we go from an idea to a result. And there's a belief we have about it. And then there's a feeling that it evokes, and that creates your state. And in that state, you go behave. Your behavior flows out of the state you're in. And that's a state of resentment, sadness, overwhelm, then you're likely to have a similar batch of behaviors. Withdraw, you might be snappy or not say anything at all.
Yep.
I'm betting not creative. I bet sometimes that includes, for some people, making a big old long list of things to do because they're trying to get control back. And things that generally go out the window are the things where you are supporting yourself. Your exercise routine, your sleep, healthy food, good food, nourishing food. And so this may, so you might go from kind of routine or kind of regular meals, or even some meal planning and trips to the gym, where all of that begins to slide away, and you end up with a glass of wine and a bottle of wine and a bowl of popcorn in front of Netflix late at night, because that's the only time you get away for you. That's your clue. Those are your breadcrumbs. This is not what you need. Now, it's what you know how to do to comfort you, but that's how you know you need help. I treat people in a clinic, right? And they come in for all kinds of ailments. They give me their list of ailments and tell me what they've taken and tell me what's going on. And I immediately have a differential diagnosis in my brain as a physician assistant. And like, okay. See me? There we go.
Hold on, Donna. You're going. Now
Uh-oh.
I think
Let's see.
you froze for a hot second.
Oh no, wait, what happened? Where'd they go? Now, am I with you?
Keep talking. We can hear you. Your just face is frozen.
Oh my, I hope it's not a goofy look, but okay.
No, you're
And
moving now.
so,
You're moving now. That's good.
okay, okay, all right. And so I know we were talking about breadcrumbs, we were talking about behaviors, right? And so taking care of you goes out the window.
Yeah.
And when you see yourself behaving this way, so people come to me in medicine when they don't feel good,
Mm,
right? And things aren't functioning well, and they finally have enough of it. I have a sense of what's going on with them based on what they tell me.
yeah.
So when you find yourself eating a half gallon in private rather than an ice cream cone in public, sitting on the couch with Netflix and a bowl of popcorn and a bottle of wine, compromising and not going for that walk, not going to the gym, not picking up the phone and socializing, withdrawing, those are your clues. Not only you're in the chaos, but you're out of the peace.
Yeah.
And you're trying to fabricate peace. Those for me are clues. Yes.
Donna, you are calling me out, calling us all out. But you know what? I think that's every educator right now. And it is okay. Crazy, like chaos, 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 chaos. I have one moment to myself. What can I do that's going to bring me immediate joy? So it's going to a vice. I need a small win because it has been chaos, chaos, chaos. So my small win might be that bottle of wine or that carton of cigarettes or whatever it is, because people are searching for that immediate sense of satisfaction.
Yeah.
That is not something that takes a lot of physical or mental effort, because educators are so exhausted by the end of the day.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And one thing that you and I have talked about before are hidden agreements. And so I would really I was fascinated when you started talking about this, and I was like, yes, educators, we have hidden agreements all the time, and it's creating chaos for us. So kind of take our audience through what are hidden agreements and how can they be damaging to us?
Got it. Okay. And I would say it is easy to, it's not just educators and this kind of idea, these kinds of expectations. It can occur for other professions, but again, these are who we're talking to, right? And especially, again, the servant nature of educators being all in. And so what can end up happening is we're like, I want to make a difference. So we go invest in an education. We're going to change lives. I'm all in. And then we get in and we are gung-ho, and it's fabulous. And there's all kinds of things that might suck the life out of us. So often can be, administration. Anyway, and so many things that get in between getting to teach and literally getting to do what we went in this profession to do, right?
The joy of our jobs.
The joy of our job. We're actually feeding kids and clothing kids and dealing with hygiene and helping them just de-escalate from home and making sure they're safe. And I also this morning, in anticipation of this call, remembered I was teaching a classroom of second and third graders, and we're working on a project, and then chills went through my body when I realized I had turned my back on a kid with scissors. And he had some issues in the past. And so I very calmly turned around and made sure I was focusing on him, right? So that at least I could defend myself if he chose to kind of, if something didn't go his way, right? And act it out. And so we're protecting ourselves as well. Sometimes it's survival of the fittest. But the agreements we make is I'm all in. And when we're all in, and here's what happens, we're all in, I'm going to pour myself out in this profession and make a difference. The hidden agreement is the profession is going to take care of me.
Mm.
Right? If I pour myself out, then this will take care of me.
Yeah.
And really, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
they're your employer who promises an honest day's wage for an honest day's pay. And so I still have to have boundaries.
Yeah.
For myself and my life, and look out for my needs, look out for my family's needs.
I'm gonna take it back to what you said earlier. I am 100% responsible for the results I get in my life.
Yeah.
And so if we have this assumption that someone else is going to take care of us,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
we are going to place ourselves in chaos, and we're setting ourselves up for frustration and anger and toxicity, where we have to. It goes back to, they're going to replace us in a heartbeat if we stop doing our jobs. Like they don't care if we are moving on, and we have to wrap our heads around that. We have to come first, our families, our health, our wellness, because again, if we don't fill our cup or take care of ourselves, we're no good to anyone. We're no good. Look at that country coming out.
Look at that language.
Good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right. We're not going to be our quality of life. And so here's what we trade. Yes. So I'm going to pour myself out for this noble cause.
Mm-hmm.
My needs will be taken care of. So I don't have to stand up for myself because I'm pouring myself out. But then my needs are not taken care of. And then I get a little resentful.
Oh, yes.
But I don't speak directly to the issue.
Yeah.
I chat in unresourceful ways. And I get it. Sometimes you've got to vent and just go do that. Okay. And then we also take it out on ourselves by simply not feeling a negative way. We don't feel joy. We don't feel satisfaction. We're just trying to not feel the resentment, the exhaustion, the frustration, the revelation that I have to partner with myself to both serve and be served.
Yeah.
To give and say what I need.
Mm-hmm. Man. Donna, like dropping some truth bombs here. Like it's good. But I think we need this call out of, if you're not taking care of yourself and you have these hidden agreements, you are going to become angry. And the question goes back to what you said earlier. Let me pop that up. You need to check yourself. How many hidden agreements do you have? Mm-hmm. Is it possible that it's true? Is it possible that it's not true? And what evidence do you have for that? And unfortunately, because there are so many hidden agreements, when you become angry and you start to vent to your friends, you're actually spreading this toxicity. And that is not healthy for anyone involved. So I see a lot of my colleagues needing to be on like heart medication, or there are a lot of health issues beyond like antidepressants and anti-anxiety. Now we're getting into heart meds because a lot of their physical health is breaking down because of the stressors of the job and these hidden agreements and toxic cultures. So the big question is, what are some strategies we can do to stop this? Like, I do not Oh my gosh, like Donna, at 35 years old, like I have colleagues who were only 35 needing to get on heart meds
Mhm.
because of the job. And what is so sad is when they walk into the doctor's office and they're like, I'm a teacher. Doctors don't question it. They're just like, okay,
They're like, yeah.
let me get you all the meds because
Mhm.
you need it to survive. But
Yeah.
I don't want my colleagues having to go to all of this different kind of medicine. What can we
Yeah.
do now to avoid it?
Yeah. So true. And it's a domino effect of not
Yes.
taking care of ourselves and then needing somebody else to take care of us. But all that is patching us up, right?
Yeah.
Patching us up as long as we can hold it together to stay in the game. So, yeah, what do we do? Number one, take your life back.
Mm.
Um, one of the things that I invite individuals to do is question what is. Again, what are the expectations? Like, well, I'm a teacher. This is my career. Okay. What did you want your life to look like? This is your career. What do you want your life to look like? I also take clients, my VIP clients, through what's called their dream life plan. And we literally break it down to the major 6 areas. And we start talking about what would you like to achieve in all 6 of these areas? What are 3 goals that are now, next, and brand new for down the road, 6 months to a year? And what's amazing is how long it takes somebody to start talking about what they want. They can tell me all day. And so we'll just go through it. Like, let them talk. Well, I don't want this anymore. And I don't want to be like that. And I don't want to have this. And it's sort of like they got to vomit all that out before they then get to what they want, because that's how far down, that's how smothered, in my assessment, that's how smothered your own desires are by the demands of the world you're in. And so how do we claim that back? Realize, number one, we're not asking for anything for ourselves. And you get to ask for, not just because I now have heart issues and I now have high blood pressure, so I have to have a good reason to not. I can simply say, I don't have to explain if my plate is full or not full. And I'll just divert here real quick. You know, I recall working with individuals who they're just doing everything and way the extra mile. And then there'd be somebody on staff who's like, yep, nope, not me. I come in, I teach, I do my thing, and I'm out, right? And I know that we would look at that individual, kind of judge them and be like, not much of a team player, kind of selfish, isn't it? And yet there's a piece of us that's like, I wish I could be assertive like that.
Yeah.
At least a little bit. And find some kind of a balance. Well, this person was about self-preservation and maybe for the long haul. And maybe the answer is somewhere in between. You don't have to have a good reason for getting to live a life you want. So let your profession can be your profession. It's a part of your life. It's a part of your identity. Ask yourself, when you introduce yourself, who do you say you are? I'm a teacher. Okay. And what else? I'm a mom. Okay. And you can go down a long list, but then I want to get to know you, not make assumptions about what you do and the identities that are put on you externally. So I just ask and invite people to, like, what do you want your life to look like? And so often the first thing is, that'll never happen. And that guarantees that it never will. What's one thing, right? What is one thing that doesn't have anything to do with your job? It's just something you like. I encourage you just to get away And even 15 minutes. And if that's sitting in your car for 15 minutes, if that's 15 minutes, you go out to your car at lunch, like get away. Get away. Just start prying off the stress, even just a little bit. We're into such a routine of get up in the morning, do this, and get up the next day and do the same thing over and over. Honestly, when I was in this, I am so not a woo-woo person. And yet now I have transitioned from being all heady to understanding I have to breathe.
Yes.
Even that, like when we're stressed, we're tensed, we breathe from here up, our shoulders are tense, we are getting bathed in cortisol. One of the first things and most simplest things you can do to begin to relax is just take a deep breath, fill up those lungs, even let your belly swell out, like as if you're sucking all that air into your belly, and then exhale it. And do that 5 times in a row. It's amazing the ease that begins to set in just with that. And you can even do that at a stoplight.
Yep.
And so there's across the board, there's so many different things, but just beginning to think differently, different is possible. What do I want my life to look like? And then, begin by breathing. I encourage, now, I think somatic exercises are fabulous for releasing that tension in the body. They also release the trauma in the body, but that just creates tension, right? So, there's more to that. But anyway, but simply put, some somatic stretches and exercises, it's movement of the body, and it's not just a controlled movement like necessarily yoga. And that helps release some of that pent-up emotion out of the body. There's going to be a domino effect where your blood vessels can begin to expand and contract as opposed to stay contracted. So that can help with blood pressure. That can help with stress management, decrease cortisol. Again, there's a domino effect in owning your life and taking your body back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's so important, just centering yourself and having that moment for yourself. One of the exercises, Donna, that I always do with my instructional coaches and leaders, and I encourage them to do with their teachers, is I just call it a list of 10. And when you are sitting with a teacher that you are coaching, asking them, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And you have to answer it 10 times in 10 different ways. And it is so interesting. By the time you get to the 5th one, they're like, I don't know. I don't know. And it is concerning. I love that you're encouraging our audience to get away and to ask yourself, what do you want your life to look like? And find that answer. It doesn't have to be some outlandish, extravagant life, but what brings you happiness? And then, like you said, you have to breathe. You have to breathe.
Yeah. So that weekends are not just to escape, but they are for restoration and enjoying your family. That your vacations are really just to go be adventurous and enjoy, not as opposed to just not being on the job, right? Yeah. So that you see your life as one big life intertwined. And instead of being, and instead of your entire life driven by the stress of your work identity, your life and your work gets driven by the identity you choose.
Yep.
So I am someone who is adventurous, enjoys people, right? And as you make that list, I use the example with women. Pretty much my clients, that your life is like a plate and it gets piled full of stuff, and people pile on your plate for you, and we let them. And in situation of coaching women with sexual health and intimacy, pleasure gets pushed off the plate first.
Yeah, it's the first thing to go.
Yeah, anything that's my needs gets pushed off the plate first. I'll make room for more that other people need by pushing off what I need. Now, women end up coming and talking about their sexual intimacy issues because now my marriage is suffering. Yeah. Because I pushed pleasure off the plate, and now my partner needs some attention.
But it goes back to someone else's needs.
Yes. Right. It goes back to their needs. And so now you have this collision of like, oh crap, I've been pouring myself out for what everybody else needs, but here is my most intimate relationship, and I'm not able to show up in the way that I want for that. And it just then can become just another person that needs something from me.
Yeah.
As opposed to the connection and intimacy.
Oh, man.
And that, if you have a second, if you don't mind,
yeah,
that leads me to one more point.
What you got?
When we talk about, thank you so much. This is so fun to talk about.
Yes.
Because awareness is so huge. I think awareness is step one. And that we have to consider our lives, consider the culture we're in, and consider how we got here. Women are socialized. We now are generations in of women working full time and being in the workforce and contributing to the home financially and kind of being equal work partners, and that expectation, right? However, we also have not yet shifted from the belief that was formed around the idea of traditional roles. So when we talk about things around the house, is your partner doing the dishes to help you with the chores?
Yeah.
Is your partner vacuuming to help you around the house? So are we still owning the responsibility of all of that, while also stepping up to be an equal partner of work and financial contribution without divvying that up?
Yeah.
And so that plate, I'm like, feel free to shift that off. And when something falls off your plate, I'll talk about how we can de-stress and how we can like make life simpler and offer suggestions. And the key point is when something comes off your plate, that's not making room for more.
Oh, truth bomb, Donna.
Yes. Yeah. If we lose a volunteer role, if we like finish a project, it's like, okay, well, that's been taking me 3 hours a week or 10 hours a week. Whew, good. And we feel that relief. And we are quick to let things cave back in on that time. And I would invite you to just sit. And I think you'll be amazed at what bubbles up for you. Wanted bubbles up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm enjoying. I have these extra 3 hours a week. I forgot how much I enjoy reading.
Yeah. Donna, I think there is a sense of guilt, though, especially among women, that if I am not, let's say something does come off my plate and I have 3 extra hours, and I do take time to go sit and read a book. Like I love reading, but I have found that I need to listen to Audible because I can clean while I read. I can do these other things. I can work while I read. And it goes into this idea where I feel guilty and lazy if I take a moment for myself. And that is such an unhealthy mindset. There's a difference between lazy and taking time for yourself.
Totally. 100%. And as you were sharing that, there's something you said. I have extra time. You referred to those 3 hours you got back as extra time.
I showed it. Girl, call me out.
Like, if we are observers, I also think I'm a huge observer of life. And one of the things that my training has taught me is to observe language and observe behavior. Because we're saying things we don't even realize we're saying. Yes. And that's coming from the inside out. That's coming from unconscious. And that unconscious is really what's driving 90 to 95% of our life is on an unconscious level and on autopilot. And so thinking that suddenly you have 3 hours and those 3 hours are extra is a clue.
It's ingrained in me.
Yes, it's a clue to conditioning. It's a clue to programming. And it's an opportunity for you to decide, is it possible that it's true? And what's the evidence? Is it possible that it's false? And what is the evidence? Oh, by the way, what do I want? So I would task you, if I was your coach, I would then task you to get a book. And at a minimum, read an hour a week.
Okay.
At a minimum. And you sit out in the open, as long as you can read privately, doesn't matter. Like, as long as you can go undisturbed, but you're also not hiding with your book unless that's where you want to be.
Okay.
If you're concealing it because you're guilty and doing it kind of privately, now go sit on the couch and read. But if it's, oh no, I'm taking a bath, having some candles, opening up my book and having a good time, then please go do that in private.
I mean, hey, I have a kid. Nothing's in private anymore. Oh, how funny. Oh, you know what, Donna? And I'm going to take you up on that challenge and I'm going to try it. Like, instead of Audible.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a moment with a physical book, and I'll let my audience know. Like, I'm going to keep you guys on track. How's it going?
Because I'll say, I'm sitting here at my desk. I'll say I have Audible as well. I have Audible because I like to make the most of time on the road.
Yes.
Sometimes I'll just turn everything off and let it be quiet because I want to be able to be still and it not feel like nails on a chalkboard.
Yes.
Remember those? But anyway. And so for me, Audible has its place. I'm currently, I picked up this and I'm reading this and I'm reading the hard copy of this. And that's really cool. And so this is one I am actively reading while when I'm driving about town, I'm listening to something else on Audible. Yeah. So for me, Audible has its place. And I will say, if I am working around the house, I do like to have Audible on, or maybe a YouTube video or something playing in my ear, because I just enjoy that to accompany me while I'm cleaning.
Yes. And make it more enjoyable.
Yes. Versus cleaning to make use of my reading time.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like I can sit down and I can sit down. Oh, and can you sit down when there's something that needs to be dusted?
Oh.
Like, here's the deal. The book is not a reward. Your weekends are not a reward. Vacations. Oh, this is another thing. Man, we're going to church. But your vacations are not a reward. They're not like the dessert for eating your vegetables.
Okay.
Sex is not a reward. Pleasure, put it that way. Pleasure is not the dessert that you get after you choke down your spinach. It's all part of your one big, beautiful life. And you don't have to work yourself to the bone in order to deserve pleasure and joy.
Yeah. Man, you're taking us to church. Donna, you're calling us out. My toes are getting stepped on. And I'm like, yes, that's what I need to hear. And teachers, educators, you need to hear this too. It's not I love that idea. Not an idea. I love that truth. It's
Mhm.
not a reward.
Mhm.
It's a part of your life. It's molding your life.
Yeah. It's all interwoven versus compartmentalized.
Ah, I love that.
And I invite people, being compartmentalized is when we live in our thinker. Being woven and incorporated, if you would, is when we are connected to our knower.
Yeah.
And we can go from our thinker to our knower and from our knower to our thinker. Like this is all one. We're not just living from the neck up to survive.
Mm.
But when we're trying to survive, then we're living from the neck up because I can't afford to feel.
Yeah. Oh man, Donna, beautiful.
But yes, you can. You can.
Mhm.
You can. You can.
And that's something, so audience, if you are an instructional leader or even not, if you're not in education and you have the opportunity to watch this, my message to you over this Thanksgiving break is don't find this rest time or this downtime as a reward. Enjoy it, embrace it as
Mhm.
your interwoven experiences.
Mhm.
And who makes you you. Oh, Donna, thank you so much. Like your words of wisdom,
Mm.
girl. And I know that you have a free opportunity for our
Mhm.
listeners today.
Sure.
Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about this.
So, I use whatever tools I can find to serve my clients. And so I do, straight up continuity life coaching and problem solving. And I also use hypnosis. And I use anything and everything. I use meditations. And so one of the tools that I'd like to offer you, something I'd like to offer your listeners, anybody connected to you, anybody that sees this, is that I do have a hypnosis audio that's called Tools for Total Confidence. And within that are multiple uh, uh, suggestions for how to manage stress, how to respond in situations. And I actually had one of my clients tell me, I was working with a client and this thing came up in my head and that was a stressor, normally a stressor. And I just carried on and I just did what the audio told me to do. Like it just came automatically. And he's like, and I can't even tell you what it was anymore because I just blew it away. Like it's part of
Oh,
the process.
beautiful.
And I was like, I can't even tell you what that stressor was because it's just gone. But before, he would hang on to it for days and days because he'd be stressed. He'd bite his tongue. He wouldn't say how he really felt. And uh, and that would bug him. And so, poof, it's gone. And it was just an automatic, smooth, and easy response. So, my gift is Tools for Total Confidence. It's a hypnosis audio. And if they will you can email support@donnajenningscoaching.com and just put tools. It's just that simple. And I will send you the link for that and get that out to you. I'll live on the edge here. You could also text tools to 678-953-1562. So either email tools to support@donnajenningscoaching.com or text tools to 678-953-1562 so we can help start down regulating some of that stress, giving you literally tools to help you use that throughout the day so that we can help minimize how high the stress level gets. Like we can create a new baseline of peace so that the stress doesn't tower over it. It might pop through it, but because you have this baseline of peace and discernment and wisdom, then you don't get hijacked by the stress. You are more at ease and you manage the stress instead of being managed by it. You take your life back, you take your body back, you get your relationships back. It's a beautiful thing.
I'm I'm even going to, so Donna, I will share this. I'm going to share this on social media, your email and your freebie. But for those that are listening, my suggestion, my recommendation would to sit with your professional learning communities and during your collaborative team time, listen to this audio. Listen to it because especially if you notice that your PLC has become overwhelmingly stressed or toxic, maybe this is something that you do as your professional learning. And remember, your professional learning opportunities don't always have to be pedagogy related or content related. It can be wellness related. And so with
important.
your PLC, sit down and listen to this audio or listen to it privately, but come back and discuss the strategies learned. Donna, this is amazing. I appreciate you so much for coming. I'm going to have you on again. And so educators, any viewer, go ahead if you watch the replay, ask your questions. I'll send them over to Donna and we'll set up another chat so that we can answer your questions. But I thank you so much for joining us. Viewers, thank you for joining us as well.
Thank you.
Oh, I appreciate you so much. And Donna, do you have any words of wisdom before we leave? Any last thing for our audience?
Oh, thank you. I just man, I boy, that was really big. And you know, just that. Remember why you got into this, and that aliveness you used to feel. I think part of the frustration is maybe that you do, and you're disconnected from it. But remember that aliveness. Remember that person. I'm saying remember them and support them so they can come back out, because they may just be smothered under a whole lot of other expectations and responsibilities. And if you don't do it, you are not responsible for someone else finding someone that will.
Yeah.
It will be okay. And remember that you are modeling to the next generation. So you're always teaching. You're always teaching. So what are you teaching the next generation about how much they matter if you're up for just being chewed up and spit out and tossed away? And please do not confuse my faith-based friends. Like you talked about growing up in the South. I grew up in Georgia. We are not the Bible Belt. We are the Bible buckle. And so being servant-minded, dying to self, all of that. Well, could you just do it in such a way that you can die to self but live longer? Is it possible that you're allowed to also live and enjoy your life? And I think the answer is yes to that.
I do too.
Yeah. So
I do too. Oh, Donna, thank you so much for joining us. And to all our viewers, have a wonderful Thanksgiving week. Enjoy your time. Take care of yourself. And just like Donna said, find that person that made you who were you when you were alive? Like living your best life. I want you to find that again. So enjoy your break, friends. And until next time, we'll see you later.